I will fight. I will fight for you.
Hi, it's me,
I
it's
always do
Lauren.
until my heart is black and blue.
My son has Hurler's, which is a genetic disorder that causes large sugar molecules to accumulate in the body, which causes a lot of orthopedic issues, vision issues, hearing issues, damage to the vital organs, and cognitive issues. I view him as a miracle. His life expectancy was 10 years. And he reads on a simple level, but he reads. He does simple math. His social skills are above average. He's a very outgoing social person, and his memory for how people are connected to each other is incredible. I quit counting his trips to the OR at 35, and he's had numerous ones since then. The biggest one was his PDA had to be ligated, and that was actually the first surgery. I forgot about that. That was when he was still on ECMO. Um, then he also had club feet, which is not associated with hurlers. That had to be fixed, and that was a very big surgery when he was 3 years old. He's had hip had to have hip surgery and carpal tunnel surgery, and his back and neck had to been fused. And those are the orthopedic is the biggest surgery procedures we've had to encounter. When he first started school, it was wonderful. His preschool situation was great. His kindergarten situation was wonderful. I mean, I couldn't have had expected anything better. But going into first grade was a completely different story. It just did not work. And he came home and told me that he was stupid and he was dumb, which were not words that he used in his vocabulary before. And I made a decision to do something different for his education. And when I went to get his stuff from the school and withdraw him, the children there were like, "When's Lauren coming back? When he gets smarter?" And having such a great kindergarten experience, it was so disappointing that he was not getting his needs met. And we found someone who was really wonderful, and she was teaching her son with special needs from her house, and she was a special ed teacher. And so he went homeschool to her home, where they worked in a little classroom that was a part of their home. They did a lot of stuff at the kitchen table. She expanded that program and moved it and added other kids to that program and called the school Shekinah. And it worked for a really long time and he was able to graduate from there. But it was a wonderful experience. Anything that changed in Lauren, like his eyesight, she was able to completely accommodate immediately. We didn't have to do a meeting. I could text her. I would text her on the way home from Fort Worth saying, "Oh my gosh, we have a big decline in his vision." And the next day she would have the material available for him to accommodate that. After he graduated, unfortunately, where the program was closed, and they had to move the program somewhere else. And returning as an adult has been a horrifying experience. The person that she chose to be in that area just does not, in my opinion, have the educational or the experience to handle it. And now, of course, Lauren is in a lot more pain. He gets tired, and without being able to have his personal care attendant available to take him home and to get him the Tylenol that he needed, it didn't work. And that person ended up putting him in a corner, and not only putting him in a corner, but held him there. In the public school system, we're difficult because I think every single discipline was there because of his needs. I mean, we had AP, we had PT, we had speech, we had OT, we had so many people there. And it could be intimidating. And his first language, I'll say something that affects you with hurlers is your hearing. And he was profoundly deaf at one time. And it took a while for that hearing to return after having a successful bone marrow transplant. And I just felt like his information should have been presented in sign language because that was his first language. That's what he learned information in. And it was absolutely, every single person asked me if I wanted him to be nonverbal, which I felt like was a pretty uneducated question because of course not. But the way he learned information at that time was through sign. That's how he processed it. And I felt like it was only fair to have him be able to process new information through the way that he processed the information. So that was a big fight. And another thing that didn't have anything to do with the IEP meetings, but was, so we put equipment, etc., to be available for him, but then the schools couldn't get it. So they would call me and say, we can't get it. We can't get it. This is the holdup. These are the people who aren't bringing it. So just a lot of advocating continuously to be able to get his needs met. He has done therapeutic horseback riding. He's taken swim lessons. He's taken piano lessons. He's done guitar lessons. He has cheered on a special needs cheer team. He has gone to med camp and Camp Tiger. So we've gotten him involved in as much activities as are available for this population. He's right now on the Challenger baseball team. And he loves being out and around people. Relationships with the opposite sex. He would like to have an appropriate relationship. He misses out on friends, for sure. And he has friends, he has acquaintances, but not your typical 25-year-old. He misses out on that. He misses out on working. He'd love to have a job. And he talks about wanting to be independent, living independent, but yet he knows he needs someone to take care of him. When he is hurting, as everyone, he gets very irritated and he's very impatient, and he can lash out and use really bad language, and at times he will grab hold of someone and really hold on to them or claw them. And that's not difficult for me to handle. What's been difficult is advocating that this behavior is not due to him being a bad kid, but suffering in the school system. Well, I think the quality of life is deteriorating now because of his pain. But we are still trying to do everything we can to give him the best quality of life as possible, with trying to be very creative in the pain control. He is limited in what he can use for pain because he also has some renal issues. So it's finding that balance where you're controlling the pain, but you're not sedating him so much that he can't function. You know, you have your special needs child, but because you have that special needs child, and especially like in our case, we have had to be away for long periods of time for medical procedures. We have spent, I think we spent a year in Fort Worth whenever he was going through his bone marrow transplants. He had 2, plus a boost of bone marrow. Then we were gone for 3 months for a neck surgery. We were gone for 2 months for a back surgery. We were gone for a month for him to be on ECMO, looking at how that has affected the rest of the family and how it has kept our other children from having a normal childhood, because there's so much attention that has been put on Lauren because his illness is life-threatening. And so there's been so much resources put towards him that it has been very difficult for the other 2.
I'm not giving up, no, not yet.
Bye.
Even when I'm
Bye-bye.